cathedral, but the church at the time says, well, you can demolish these, but please stop at that one. And so they made the roof sound, and so that it continues for it.
This is Carey Baptist Church. Sunday service at 10:45 a.m. Evening service as advertised. So William Carey first ministered in this place. That time this was a small village.
You can see there's a plaque on the wall. It's very difficult to read safely, certainly from this side road. But it ends up with a quote from Hebrews, "He being dead yet speaketh." So we like to think his story still challenges people today. People like my 6 times great-grandson, for instance.
So ഈ ബിൽഡിങ് വില്യം കെയറി ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന സമയത്ത് തന്നെ ഉള്ള ആ സെയിം ബിൽഡിങ്. This walls.
And so you see they've buttressed this
So
to keep it standing. But this is the only home in this country that survives.
Survived.
Yes.
So this is like 150 years old. More than that.
More than that.
More than that.
Yes, more than 200 and I mean he came in 1785 here. So that's 200 and I've lost count.
Yeah.
Quite a lot. This is where he created his wonderful garden.
Oh.
Because that house wasn't there then.
Yeah.
It's where our manse is today, but we're without a minister at the moment.
So this is
Now we're going into just a third of the original cottage.
okay.
We can't go into the other 2/3 because somebody rented out as an income for the church. But and that is what makes it a shoemaker's cottage, because that was used for soaking leather.
Soaking leather. So here
Soaking the
they soak
leather.
the leather.
Yes. And when the church, put this cottage to rights, they found a lot of rubbish in that trough. But here, pieces of leather, and he'd probably trimmed those off, while it was nice and soft. And this is his workbench. And
This was the workbench of William Carey.
yes. And this was his clench that he would have, that was tossed into the trough in the wall, and he would have had it between his knees like this as he sat on this bench, so that he had 2 hands free for working on the boot. And it's all falling to pieces, but it is the genuine article. And this is what's left of his pulpit.
Oh, this is the original pulpit.
Yes, but you can see that originally had steps up to it,
Okay.
so it was twice as high. But, you see the goblets and plate on the shelf there. That's what he would have used to serve communion when he became minister here.
Okay.
Because it has a mark on the bottom which shows it's that date.
This was used for communion. William Ward, Carey's printer. Joshua Marshman, companion to Carey.
And a school teacher.
He is a school teacher. Dr. John Thomas, who sailed with Carey. So 1793, Carey's, his wife, children, John Thomas, began their 5-month journey to India. Sooty burning window which Carey fought to abolish succeeded in 1829.
He worked with
Sarampu College, where classes began in 1890. The cost was £15,000 of building, and land was paid for by Carey Marshman Ward.
Right, shall I tell you about things? So when he became minister, he wrote in this minute book, and this he drew the church into a covenant, and that's his handwriting.
His handwriting, it is like printing.
Yes. And this is his enquiry. It's a first edition of the enquiry. You know, not a very prepossessing book, just a slim book. But it was the first book that he wrote, and he would go on to write many more. Now, this is what the cottage looked like before it was renovated. And
This
you can
one?
see, yes,
This
this
one,
one. This is where we are now. This is the window there. So these were demolished, and they were going to demolish this one, but it was spared. So I'm glad they spared it. And this is the letter I was telling you about. And that's what it looked like, all folded up with sealing wax.
This is the original one.
No, this is the original one.
This
is the actual letter.
This was.
And you can see where it was folded up, can't you?
Which William Carey wrote to
To Dorothy, when he was waiting for the boat that was late coming. And this was the letter I told you about, that was the appeal letter that he took around to different churches and different towns, asking them for money because we're in danger of being buried alive, he said. And these people were very well known at the time, and they endorsed the letter, and it worked. Copy of the Bengali
Copy of the Bengali Bible.
Yes,
He translated Bible to Bengali.
that was the first translation.
First translation.
Yes. And the New Testament actually went into 8 editions because he kept revising it. And have you seen this stamp? It was issued in India for 200 years after Carey arrived. And they used to give these to people when they made a donation on different occasions. So they celebrate different occasions, whereas we'd probably give them a sticker these days.
Whether the British king acknowledged William Carey in some way, this nation. So we have already acknowledged his work.
Yes.
By publishing this.
Well, in this country, people, I wasn't involved, but people were urging the post office to produce a stamp, but they didn't. They didn't, no. And you know, it's always people from abroad who appreciate this place. People who, even in the church,
They don't know.
They don't.
They don't know.
They don't bother really. No, they don't bother. It's just part of the furniture. Right, shall we?
Hannah.
That's Hannah.
She.
Yes, wonderful woman. And this was the site of his baptism, and it's now they rerouted the river. And this is our previous minister, and he's pointing to platform 1 because we think that's about where he was baptized.
Oh, now they rerouted the river, and it's a railway station.
And we've actually got a plaque up at the railway station to say what happened there. This was the house he moved to when he was 7, the schoolhouse in Polisbury, whereas that one there is the tiny weaver's cottage where his life began.
This one?
Yes, the first 6 years he spent there.
This was near to this place?
No, this is Polisbury. It's about 15 miles or something like that. Yes.
So what was his father?
He was a weaver to start with, but then he got this job of running the charity school in the village, you see, because his dad had done it before him. And this is the Hackleton Meeting House where Carey found personal faith in Christ. And this is probably the house that that Dorothy went to live with her sister in. We're not absolutely sure about it. It's gone anyway now. And this is the church in Nottingham where he preached that deathless sermon, expect great things, attempt great things. And at that meeting, that's where the BMS was founded. Andrew Fuller passed round his snuff box. I don't know whether you know what snuff is. It's tobacco that you put up your nostrils and then have a good sneeze, you know. And that was his snuff box. And actually, it's St Paul's conversion on the lid, which was rather appropriate. Let me tell you about the map behind you, because it's actually a very accurate copy of the one that Carey made, but it's not in his handwriting. But his great-grandson, Piers Carey, who wrote a biography of him, had seen the original, and he said it was a very accurate copy. Now, that man, when he came into this cottage, he said, you know, this cottage was Carey's Troas. And you remember the story of Troas and how Paul was there and he had this dream or vision of the men from Macedonia saying, come over and help. And it was as if from this cottage he heard the rest of the world saying, we need the Christian gospel. What are you going to do about it?
Because looking again and again to the old map,
yes,
he was motivated to go as a missionary.
He wanted to. He didn't see how he could because he was poor. But gradually ideas were coming about how they could set about it, you know, with earning a living when they were there, just like Paul did his tent making. And look how so frequently has to write pagans on the map, almost as if it hurt him physically, you know. What had the church done for this situation?
Here also
oh yes, pagans comes all over the map. Yes, pagans, yes, all over the place, yes. And it's interesting for what's not here. He knew all about this area because of reading Captain Cook's Voyages. He knows absolutely nothing about the west or the south coast of Australia. Big gaps in his knowledge. Big holes where he knows nothing.
So this is the original map he drew?
No, this is a reconstruction.
Yes, but Piers Carey said it was a very accurate copy. He'd no idea when he made this that that's where he would be going, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. So it starts off as a geography tool and it ends up as a mission document, really. And so much of the statistics on this map went into the book that he wrote, The Enquiry. Just some interesting documents.
Moravian. Jews, Calvinist, Lutheran.
Yeah, here also it is written Mohammedans, pagans.
That's
Brahmins,
Muslims, you see. And
Citras, busy. So rice,
pomegranate, orange,
sugar cane,
almond, deep, rice.
that would be for
Tea
teaching the children. Yes.
Cocoa tree, very useful nut. It did fig.
So they had to sign this, that if they became paupers, they would go back to Paulisbury rather than be a burden on the parish here. So that's what they had to sign here. This is where he was baptised as a baby on the 23rd of August, having been born on the 17th. They did things very quickly in those days. And this is their marriage certificate, and you notice that her bridesmaid and Dorothy Plackett, they make their mark across because they were illiterate and they couldn't read and write. But it was in this house that another job that Carey did here, he taught her to read and write.
Okay, Dorothy.
Dorothy, yes. In between changing nappies and what have you. Or whatever they did. in those days. And this is just a list of the militia in Hackleton, and his name is crossed out because he was exempt because he was an apprentice. So not very interesting. But what is quite interesting is the minutes of the meeting where they said, we'll do it, we'll form a society, and they gave it a wonderful title, the Particular Baptist Society for the Propagation of the Gospel Among the Heathen. So you can just, not exactly a
Original
title.
minutes of the meeting
Yeah.
held on October the 2nd of 1792 at
Kettering.
showing the formation of the Baptist Missionary Society.
And this is a trick picture, like you can do on computers, you know, Photoshop, where you put people together.
Okay.
So they were never all together like that.
Okay.
But the engraver has, you know, put them all together. People who were involved in the history of the mission in the early days, but not necessarily even met one another.
Okay.
So there's nothing new under the sun, is there? And this was what they collected, you see. They made a collection in Fuller's snuff box. And these are the people who promised money. This was half a guinea and a guinea, 2 guineas. And it all amounted to 13
Pounds.
and a quarter pounds, yes. In pre-decimal currency. Let me just tell you about this because it's a funny story. This bookcase came to me as a pile of planks, and somebody from the Baptist Missionary Society was in India when the first tree that he was said to have planted in Serampore was cut down. Now, he had a fantastic collection of plants. He was a plant collector, and he used to share them with people all over the world. He used to beg people to send me interesting plants wherever he went, you know, or corms or saplings or things. And the person who made these planks into a bookcase for us said, the strange thing is, you know, this is plum wood. And plum is not native to India.
No.
And I wonder if he hadn't got it as a plum stone in his pocket that he took on the boat. You know? When he got there, he would plant it and watch it grow into a tiny seedling. And every time he went anywhere by boat, that would go into the boat until eventually he could plant it in Serampore. And here it is back in Malton.
So they took it from Serampore to...
Well, so it came back from India, you know, as planks of wood.
Okay.
But I imagine if it was plum, it probably came from his plum stone, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's true.
And here it is back as a bookcase here. It just amuses me. I think that might be the case.
So, I'm standing here. ഇത് വില്യം കേരിയുടെ വർക്ക് പ്ലേസ് ആയിരുന്നു. ഇവിടെയാണ് വില്യം കേരി ഷൂസ് ഉണ്ടാക്കിയത്. ആ ഷൂസ് ഉണ്ടാക്കിയ സ്ഥലത്താണ് നിൽക്കുന്നത്. ഒറിജിനൽ ബിൽഡിങ്ങാണ്. ഒരു ഓൾമോസ്റ്റ് 200 ഇയേഴ്സ് പഴക്കമുള്ള ഒറിജിനൽ അന്നത്തെ ബിൽഡിംഗ്, സെയിം ഡോറും എല്ലാമാണ്. ഇവിടെയാണ് വില്യം കേരി ഷൂസ് ഉണ്ടാക്കിയത്. ഇവിടെ ഇരുന്നു കൊണ്ടാണ് ഇവിടെ ഒരു വേൾഡ് മാപ്പ് ഉണ്ടാക്കി. ആ മാപ്പ് കണ്ടാണ് മിഷൻസിനെ കുറിച്ചുള്ള ചിന്തകൾ വന്നത്. വില്യം കേരി വളരെ ഇൻ്റലിജൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള വ്യക്തിയായിരുന്നു. ഗ്രീക്ക് പഠിച്ചു, ഹീബ്രു പഠിച്ചു, ഈ ഷൂസ് ബിസിനസ് ചെയ്തു. അങ്ങനെ വളരെ യൗവനത്തിൽ തന്നെ 20s തന്നെ ഒരുപാട് കോൺട്രിബ്യൂഷൻസ് ചെയ്ത ഒരഭിഷക്തനായിരുന്നു വില്യം കേരി. അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ ആദ്യത്തെ ബാപ്റ്റിസ്റ്റ് ചർച്ച് ഇവിടെയാണ്. ആദ്യത്തെ ബാപ്റ്റിസ്റ്റ് ചർച്ച് പാസ്റ്ററായിട്ട് വരുന്നത്. ഇതൊരു വില്ലേജ് ആയിരുന്നു. ആ വില്ലേജിലാണ് അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ ജീവിതം തുടങ്ങി. അത് ഇവിടെയല്ല ജനിച്ചത്, മറ്റൊരിടത്താണ് ജനിച്ചത്. എന്നാലും ഇവിടെയാണ്
What job were you doing? Oh, you were a missionary.
ഉയർച്ചയിലേക്ക്
Yeah.
ഈ ഷൂ ബിസിനസ്സും ഒക്കെ തുടങ്ങി ഇവിടെ
So does
നിന്നാണ്
that mean an evangelist?
പിന്നീട് ഇന്ത്യയിലേക്ക് മിഷണറി ആയിട്ട് വരികയുണ്ടായത്.
People that carry dreams of
പോഡിയത്തെക്കുറിച്ചൊക്കെ പറയണേ
evangelists.
പോഡിയത്തെക്കുറിച്ചൊക്കെ
Evangelists. That's who he dreamed of. He knew they would do a good job.
ഈ പോഡിയം വില്യം കേറിയുടെ ഒറിജിനൽ പോഡിയമാണ്. ഈ പോഡിയം അത് വർഷങ്ങൾ 200-ലധികം വർഷങ്ങൾ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇപ്പോഴും ഇതുണ്ട്. വില്യം കേറി ഇരുന്ന് പണി ചെയ്ത
That's the
ബെഞ്ച്.
video that's
വില്യം
a
കേറി
picture
ഇരുന്ന
that
ഈ ഉപയോഗിച്ച
somebody installed
ഷൂ
that
ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ
gave
വേണ്ടി
them those
ഉപയോഗിച്ച
bells.
ഒരു ആയുധമാണ്.
One is expect great things from God.
So ഇതിന് ഹൈറ്റ് ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുക. അന്നത്തെ കാലത്ത്
Things from God, and they're
വലിയൊരു
still there. And I've never
ഉയരം
seen them.
ബിൽഡിങ്ങിനില്ല.
And I did say,
പക്ഷേ
yeah,
അത്
well,
തണുപ്പുമായിട്ട്
you can see
ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടായിരിക്കും.
them.
ഇതാണ്
Well, you do have
ഇത്
to look at
റീകൺസ്ട്രക്റ്റഡ്
it,
ആണ്. എന്നാൽ
doesn't
ഇതാണ്
matter.
അതുപോലെ ഒരു വലിയൊരു
Perhaps
മാപ്പ്
that ship has sailed for
വില്യം
me.
കേറി വരച്ചിരുന്നു. അത് ഈ
I'm
ഭിത്തിയിലുണ്ടായിരുന്നു.
not very good at climbing ladders anymore.
ആ മാപ്പിൽ ഇടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്ക് നോക്കി ഇതെല്ലാം എഴുതി വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. മുഴുവൻ ഡീറ്റെയിൽസ് എഴുതിയിരുന്നു. അദ്ദേഹം ഒരു ജ്ഞാനിയായ മനുഷ്യനായിരുന്നു. ഇതിനെക്കുറിച്ചെല്ലാം ഇങ്ങനൊരു മാപ്പും ലോകരാജ്യങ്ങളെക്കുറിച്ചും മുഴുവൻ പഠിക്കുവാൻ തക്കവണ്ണം അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് കഴിഞ്ഞു. എന്തൊക്കെ കാര്യങ്ങളാണ്. അതൊരു മേജർ കോൺട്രിബ്യൂഷനാണ്. അതുപോലെ ഹാർഡ് വർക്കിങ്ങും അതുപോലെ പഠിക്കുന്ന വ്യക്തിയായിരുന്നു.
Yes, which was very much the area where he was really.
So the church just they invite us. We go there,
Oh, I see.
preach.
Right. Yes. Lovely. Yes. How far up do you go? How far north do you go?
Like for how many days?
No, I'm wondering, is it just in one particular area of the northeast that you go to?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes. Not as far as Mizoram or anywhere like that.
Mizoram, no.
That's too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mizoram is also, we go to Arunachal Pradesh, so Mizoram is a neighboring state.
Yes.
So there we have West Bengal, and then going to Assam. Then there
Oh,
are
yes.
small states are there, Christian states are there.
Yeah.
Nagaland is like a
Yes.
Baptist state.
Yes.
So almost 95%
Yes,
of
I've
the
met
people are
from
Baptist
Nagaland.
here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nagaland. And then Mizoram. Mizoram mostly Presbyterians.
And Baptist.
And
because-
Baptist also.
Because there were two people who, from this country,
Yeah,
who went to
yeah.
Mizoram.
Yeah.
One that was Baptist and one that was
Oh,
Pentecostal.
Presbyterian.
And it's quite interesting because
Yeah.
I married a Presbyterian.
Oh, really?
And he used to talk about, mission work in
In
Mizoram.
Mizoram, yeah.
And I knew it from the Baptist side and he knew it from the Presbyterian side. And I didn't realise at the time, but it was quite interesting that. Yes.
So these two states, like even the government, the rulers are also religious. So
Yes.
Nagaland means it is a Baptist state, and Mizoram means mostly the rulers are Presbyterians.
Right.
So we
yes.
know it as a Presbyterian state.
I see. Yeah.
So though India is a Hindu nation, we have two states.
Shall I take the rest of the picture?
Please.
Shall I get out of the way?
Where are you standing?
Thank you.